Vaughn from 106.7 WTLC, and I'm excited about this interview with our good friends and partners at the Indiana Repertory Theater, the IRT. They're doing an amazing virtual season due to COVID, and this play is the first of their inclusion series called PNC Presents Number 6, and I am speaking with two of the actresses in the play that we're going to bring in now and have this really candid conversation about an important subject matter that is amplified through art. So first I want to bring in Millicent Wright. She plays Ella, the mother and the dry cleaning owner. Also, Lakeisha Loren. She plays Ella's daughter, Felicia. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, thanks for having us, Karen.
Now, thank you for taking the time to really talk about this important subject matter. We've had a really tough year. And when we think of COVID, the pandemic, the social and racial injustice and just so much that's going on. And to have this play now that shines the light on everything that we're dealing with in today's modern society, I think is poignant and very important as this play focuses on the citywide riots that approached a neighborhood during the Cincinnati riots of 2001. And your family basically shelters this white intoxicated man in your home, which I'm sure that led to a dynamic discussion.
Yeah. Needless to say, yes.
I don't know how he gets there. I am looking forward to viewing the play in the virtual space, but I'm like, very interesting. Tell me, guys, and either one of you can start participating in a play of this magnitude and impact during this time. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, man, it just means a lot to me. As artists, as actors, storytelling is what we do. And with this story, how important it is, not only for the character and for those who see it, but just personally as an African American woman, we have the unique chance to have this conversation within the play. Some things that especially my mother, who Millicent Wright, who's my mother in the play, is able to say, and the conversations that are able to be had. Families don't always have that. You know what I mean? A lot of the victims' families, the Black Americans who have been, murdered by the cops, they don't get to have these conversations all the time. So I think it just really struck me the importance and the honor it is to tell this story on this type of platform where we know the net will be a wide reach, and that's what really needs to happen to bring about real change. The reason why there hasn't been real change is because there hasn't been real understanding. And the goal, I believe, that was TJ's vision and then our director, Dewandra's vision for us to live out the words on this page is to get people to conversate and understand, converse and understand.
Yeah, I think the understanding part is the dash, if you will, between the years. When you think of, the riots in Cincinnati in 2001 dash summer 2020, it's a reflection of the past. And that dash is the understanding that we need to get to. So, we bridge the days, the years, the months with more understanding, of the experiences that we all go through and the feelings and the emotions and the impact that it leaves. I feel that PNC Presents Number 6 by TJ Young is going to be a conversation starter. And Millicent, I know that you feel very passionately about this play and this production.
And I love what you said, the dash in between. And in all of that, all between, like you mentioned, 2001, and as we come upon the anniversary of the year long of we've been through from George Floyd, how many lives were lost in between those years that you mentioned? Profound. And to be in a play that marks the 20-year anniversary of I hate to say the word anniversary, but it is of the shooting of Timothy Thomas in Cincinnati, which is, 2 hours away from Indianapolis. So resignated, and living in an apartment above our dry cleaning business in this play, and remembering how I had to shelter in home just last summer. It brought up for all of us so many emotions and the importance of telling this story. And here's just a pinch of a spoiler alert. The play, although TJ says it doesn't have any answers, his call to action, I believe his dialogue has a call to action, which we are in now, which is resonating now, that people are active. My neighbors having the signs in their yards, that's an action. That's a step forward from where we were 10 years ago, where you could hardly see any signs in anyone's yard. And if they were probably just African American yards. Now you drive the city and you see people stepping forward that Black lives matter. It's just a call to action. And just as you already mentioned, the importance of conversation and the fact that theater, Lakeisha has said, one of its many responsibilities is to push forward, provoke, stimulate conversations so we don't recess the ideas and concepts and feelings and emotions that are there.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I plan on watching the film with my family. I was actually going to watch last night to prep for our interview. And I said, wait a minute, no. I would love to watch it with my son and my husband. So, we can have a family conversation,
Exactly.
about race and where we are in America right now. And then as a family, what are we going to do? My son is 16 years old. So, there are conversations that we're having with him. And I feel families across not only Indianapolis, and hello, I know both of you are Indianapolis natives, so it's great to have you a part of this production. But because you can watch this play in the virtual space and you can share your thoughts and your call to action and your answers that you gain from the play on social media, there is going to be a worldwide discussion continued, not only on this play, but then furthering the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I want to celebrate you as a African American woman, as a woman of color, raising a young man of color. That was one of the things that also came up for me, not being blessed to be a mother, but to try to play this woman who had to lift up this son who goes out the door, and it's commented in the play. Once you leave the home, everything changes. Yeah. And you have to prepare them for when they leave the home. And you're doing this on a daily basis, and many others with you, raising these children of color to go out the door and to stay strong in that. And so I'm going to celebrate you in that. And I hope you will feel lifted in some ways of the challenges in them that you'll see portrayed in number 6.
Because I think, if I could say what I think is interesting too, Mel, it's just thinking about, this shows the everyday reality of what we deal with as Black people that, again, so many are unaware about. It shows the everyday reality of the traumas and the things and that weight that we have to deal with, and still somehow compartmentalize it so that we can function normally outside. Because if we were to allow all of these things to affect us or be in the front of our minds all the time, many of us would be shut in the house, rocking and crying in the corner, going crazy. But we don't have the privilege or, the fortitude to be able to do that. We have to keep going. So just some of the things that are intertwined in this, some of the joy in the moments, because there is some joy in this play. Even if we tackle the serious issues, there is joy. And it's like, we find different ways to live in that and to keep going. So I really love that. Again, this gives people a peek inside what it's like and the conversations that are really had in Black families, you know, in our country.
Lakeisha, I'm glad you brought the point up again about um, being in a corner and rocking and just having a moment and feeling at times that you can't do that. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. And I hope that discussions of taking a moment and dealing and understanding your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Because you do need a moment to sit and rock in a chair for a moment, right? And
Okay.
I think we're slightly learning and acknowledging that tapping into our emotions and our feelings and living in that moment is so helpful than just pushing it aside because we're continuously moving, going, pushing
Yes.
through. And all of that keeps building and you hold it in. It's not good. It's not healthy for mentally, physically, emotionally. And just being able to tap into those emotions and those feelings and living in it and working through it and having more discussions in regards to, you know, whether it's from a play or just sitting down with your girlfriends at brunch and just saying, you know what, this is what I'm going through. Being able to have these conversations on multiple levels and just, you know, different micro subject matters that
Exactly.
spawn from this are vital.
Yeah. And I love you. There's so many organizations now and individuals stepping forth for African American mental health and men mental health. I was just reading about the football player just yesterday, about the football player from the Blind Side who's stepping forth and talking about the importance of mental health in his life and how it's helped him and how he's putting it out there for others and being a role model for therapy. It's just amazing that's one of the good things that's coming forth from everything that we went through a year ago.
You know, Lakeisha hit the nail on the head with that one. Sometimes you want to be able to rock in that
and
corner and just have
and
a
have done
moment.
it.
Have.
Yes.
And have done it. But you're right. The thing is, you have to pick up and keep going. And that's a message as Lakeisha was saying, the good things about this play. It's one of the things that we talk about. We have this, but we still gotta move forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, and that's another part is the healing, you know. We as a Black community, as you mentioned, Karen, you know, now and Millicent, just with the pandemic, I think as a world and as a community of human beings, people are a little bit more caring. They're a little bit more gentle. They're checking on people and seeing how they're doing and seeing how they're mentally adapting to all of these changes and being disconnected for a time. And I think as a community and specifically as a Black community, where we are going and the efforts that are being made, birthed through the trauma and the tragedy of these devastating things that have happened, the murders, is moving more towards healing, more towards therapy, more towards not bottling these things in and you know, meeting with someone professionally to get help on how we can continue to move forward, because that is a crutch for so many people. I can only imagine the mothers of, you know, all of the men and the women who have been murdered. That may be one of the only ways they're able to keep going, and many of them running for public office to make actionable change. So again, you just never know what the result of such a horrible thing is going to birth, and a lot of times it's even better on the other side.
For both of you, Millicent playing Ella and Lakeisha playing Felicia. Millicent, Ella, how are you most connected to Ella? What is Ella's motivation in the play?
One thing I will let you in a little piece of history, because we got to meet and talk with TJ Young very early on in our process, in our sort of table work process. Virtually, we got, of course, to meet him because he's in Texas. And I was asking him, where did these names come from? And when he said Ella is named from Ella Fitzgerald because she loves music. And in the play, Ella's talking about music. Give me some Coltrane. Put on one of my tunes. Where are my CDs? So he wove that through. And I love with CDs because I'm the CD generation. Actually, cassettes, believe it or not. But is loving that, you know, you pop in that CD and you have that music that's there, and how music soothes us and comforts us and lifts us up and taps into our emotions. So that's one of the things that Ella and I connect with. She was very different from many other characters I've played in lots of countless ways. And she had a strength that I struggle with. And I kind of liked that I had to get down in there and find that resilience that she has, stamina for the things that the people and things that she's lost, to run a business, as we all know, Black businesses to survive, and to survive in our neighborhoods, to thrive. She even talks about, TJ has her talking about in the play, she picked that neighborhood. She wanted to make a difference, to move into from Cleveland to Cincinnati, into the African American neighborhood, to make a difference, to have an impact, to serve the people. And man, oh man, I loved that about her. There's a lot of great things about this character, Ella. TJ Young did a wonderful job writing her, giving her these twins, giving her a relationship with them, lifting them up, believing in them, worrying about them, scolding them. So there's that. But yeah, that's one thing. So I love that her name is Ella, and named after Ella Fitzgerald, who we all know she too had not always the easiest of life, and raised a son. And so there's, the little connections there. And he also said some of the way she speaks and talks, or he modeled after his own mom. And so it's lovely to have a tribute to his own mother in the play.
Nice. And for you, Lakeisha?
Yeah.
Playing
So
Felicia?
yeah, it was, that call with TJ was just awesome, Karen. Like we had so many questions. We were like, what about this? What about this? Where's this from? So it was just so cool to get to actually talk to the playwright. And in talking to him, I found out that Felicia, a lot of inspiration for her character. She is a high functioning autistic young woman. A lot of inspiration from that is from his real life niece, who has this interest in a lot of different things and who is also autistic. So I think with Felicia, just on the interest side of relating to things, I think it's great how we see this person with this disorder that's kind of put in a box many times when it's represented on, primarily television, and even sometimes on stage, as them not having normal desires or normal wants or normal things. And Felicia's very passionate. She's very academic. She's very smart, and she can function outside of some of her she can function outside of the disorder. With Felicia, I just really love how we see her as a fully represented person. And we get to see her passions, the things that she loves, the things that she enjoys. She enjoys paleontology. And she talks about it extensively in the play. And a lot of times with people who are differently abled, they're only represented within that disorder, and they're not seen as a fully fleshed, multidimensional human being who just so happens to have to deal with different things that most people don't have to deal with. So I think in that way, I relate to her because I'm very passionate about the arts and what I do. So I love that side of her. And then on the other side of things, she is inspired by TJ's real life niece. So I thought that was really just kind of like a cool thing and a cool fun fact to know about her, that kind of liveliness that she has and that innocence that she has. That inspiration is very close to the playwright. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it sounds like the characters are rich as in the play. I'm excited about PNC Presents number 6. I feel that, again, as I said earlier, it's going to impact the masses. And what also makes this production unique is that it's done during, quarantine and COVID, and rehearsals were on Zoom, and, social distancing and everything that has gone into, keeping you all safe and healthy, yet still managed to put on an amazing production. Tell us about how it was prepping for this play during COVID, and tell me about the Zoom reads. What makes those so different?
We did what's traditionally called the table work,
Mhm.
where we usually sit around big tables around in the room and read the play section by section and talk about it and dissect it and get the history. We, like you said, had to do that all via Zoom. And the other departments in the theater, the marketing department and everything, couldn't come in with us. So they had to Zoom in when we did start live rehearsals with masks. They would have to look in on us via Zoom. They had to watch us, or some of the production staff could walk by a door in on the rehearsal room and they could wave from the door, but no one was allowed in our rooms or our space. And the challenging part was we were always every 3 days testing, having to do a COVID test. That's very different. Always wearing masks whenever you weren't on stage doing a scene on the sides. We were all separated in the rehearsal room. We had, like you just mentioned, our little space where we laid out all our stuff on our individual tables. So it was challenging in the very beginning, where you're trying to early on make a connection and bond as a family. We started so separately. But when we came together, Jamal, who plays Felix, mentioned there was such a strong camaraderie. So if anything, and I'm sure Felicia will mention this, through hardships, maybe we bonded even more. Maybe there was even a special connection with the 4 of us or 5 of us and 7 of us actually in the room, because we were our little unit. It meant even more to have that, and especially when we could actually start to touch. And we did not touch for the first 2 weeks. We wouldn't even touch each other. And then you would, when we did start, with hand sanitizer before you even started the scene, to be able to touch the person. And then even then, lunch, we separated again. It was challenging, but so meaningful. And so it meant I'm going to get a little tearful. It meant so much because of being so isolated, and then to have some people you could be with. It meant a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Community. No, that's
okay.
I mean, and that's something that we feed off of as artists. We love being around each other. As you mentioned, we're in Indiana, how long it being a pandemic and our friends in New York and the big places aren't working, but even more so in our market. So for us to be able to work together on something so important, and Millicent and I have done, shows together before at other theaters in town, and just to get to reconnect, that's something we always look forward to. So even though it was really different and we didn't get to do dinner and things like that like we normally would, and like a normal run, and we didn't have 16, 17, 18 shows to get to continue to do things, it still was just great being, in that community. But we were like literally on totally opposite sides of the room with our own little stations and masks. So it was weird, but it was still awesome because it was that community.
Another thing, just point this in, and I don't know if they sent this to you, Karen, but we were lucky that the actor who plays the drunken gentleman we bring into the home, he was in Cincinnati doing a show at the time of the riots. And so that also helped us bring us in, because he when he told the stories of the cars being bombed around him and them having to stay low at night, and how they had to get out of the city, it was
It was
percolating in your
chilling.
hairs on your arm, yeah, or raised, because you're like, whoa, he was right there, and he brought it very
Mhm.
made it very visceral and very present in our rehearsal process.
When he talked about being home where he was staying with his wife and needing to keep the lights out, I was like, wow. And it took me back to the diary of Anne Frank, of how she stayed
Mhm.
in the apartment with her parents, and during the day, they kind of had to lay low. And I was like, wow, just that kind of paralleled for me. Just going into hiding in that such a way was probably just really tough, emotional, trying, challenging, just
Mhm.
really, really hard. So I'm sure he brought a lot of historic knowledge and value to the beautiful body of work that you all have worked on. PNC Presents #6, written by TJ Young. It is a production that is a must see. And one thing I have to say is I loved the virtual playbill and the beautiful writings from everyone at IRT, and just tapping into what we're all going through right now with, the social and racial injustice, and just, the IRT putting the spotlight on it as they have for many years with
Many.
various minority-based productions that I actually had the opportunity to promote and partake in, and talk to various actors of various plays, from Raising the Sun to April 4th, 1968, which were all great productions. I want to say 2015 and 16. So this isn't a first, and I'm sure will not be the last, but also
Yeah.
the first in the inclusion series. So we are all looking forward to it, and just know that we are here for you as always. I really enjoyed our conversation. I know we can talk all day about this subject matter because it hits so hard to home.
Yeah.
Yes. My favorite line, or one of my favorite lines from the play, is, there are things that have been ignored for far too long. That is that not a cry that we have heard so
Mhm.
every month, every year, for so long. Yeah.
Generational, same cry,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But I just want to thank you for the work that you do, that you will continue to do throughout the city of Indianapolis. I am excited that both of you are based here, and can't wait to support you in future productions. But this production is going on right now until April 4th. Virtually, tickets are available now at irtlive.com. You can also get details on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at IRT Live. So definitely follow, like, share, comment, participate. And ladies, I just commend you again on your great bodies of work. Millicent, thank you so much for taking your time today. Lakeisha, thank you so much for taking your time today. And can't wait to see you continue to shine on stage.